Ironically, Candace Parker is in a little bit of a hot seat right now.
Yeah, she probably should go to Chicago.
After breaking the WNBA's unwritten rule, Candace Parker is now being pursued by the mob. If you have been following along, you are already aware of the present situation in women's basketball. Caitlin Clark, the league's fastest rising star, is shattering records, selling out arenas, driving historic ratings, and still receiving criticism for it. The weird part comes next. It's not only her. Anyone who dares to back her without giving each other players the same amount of appreciation is instantly targeted. That isn't exaggerated. It is currently happening to Candace Parker, one of the most honored icons the league has ever produced. It is now undeniable that Caitlin Clark is the force behind the WNBA's expansion. Time Athlete of the Year in her rookie season, 4th in MVP voting, and the record holder for single-season assists. A resume like that isn't posted by someone who isn't generational. Here's the issue, though. As soon as you say that aloud without also saying, and by the way, everyone else is just as important, you are accused of contributing to the issue. The crowd leaps. And that's just what Candace is going through. She had consistently praised Caitlin for months, but last week, she went one step farther. Not only was Clark shielded from one of the most ridiculous talking points being circulated, but the guys who were promoting it were also given the opportunity to shine.
You could sense the change at that point.
Candace was no longer merely protecting a player. She was publicly opposing a whole series of events. And you're not allowed to cross that line in this league. What then did she say? And why is the old guard finding it offensive? We're going to dissect it. To ensure you don't miss what happens next, hit the like button and subscribe if you're enjoying watching Candace battle the WNBA mob.
I just think that when you bring opinions to the table, you gotta have something to back it up. So you can't just say stuff.
Regretfully, Candace, you will have to learn the hard way. The WNBA simply does not operate that way at the moment. Because the strategy for many has been the same when it comes to Caitlin Clark's influence, both on the court and in the league's finances. Either conceal it or minimize it to make it seem inconsequential. Furthermore, you are under no obligation to believe me. Take a look at what ESPN did with the data from the All-Star Games.
It's fine to just say, just post the ratings. That is fine. That is absolutely fine. But it is another situation than pretending like Caitlin Clark doesn't exist.
The game this year was not compared to the one last year. Caitlin Clark actually played in that one, Not at all. They went all the way back to 2023 and completely ignored it.
Why?
Because they would have been compelled to acknowledge the truth if they had made a comparison to the previous year. Without Caitlin Clark on the court, ratings dropped by 36%. I also don't give a damn about who you are. Unless you want to hide the Caitlin Clark effect and fabricate a narrative that the league is doing well without her, there is no justification for excluding the most recent year. The problem is that this is nothing new. This is the biggest hit of the old guard mob. They have established this strange circumstance despite the fact that Caitlin is actually making everyone in the W wealthy. Her success cannot be only celebrated. You must also add compliments to everyone else. You are accused of destroying the league if you don't. When the topic of Angel Reese is brought up, that double standard intensifies. Candace really got into the fray at this point. The WNBA appears fixated on making Angel Reese become as popular as Caitlin Clark for reasons the league has never been able to quantify. Listen, give credit where credit is due. Angel's brand development has been outstanding. There isn't a player with more name awareness at the moment outside of Caitlin. Here's a reality check, though. Without the mob showing up, nobody is permitted to speak. In terms of skill and financial influence, Angel Reese is not comparable to Caitlin Clark. And as soon as you bring that up, there is an immediate outcry. It won't matter because if you honestly compare Angel Reese to Caitlin Clark, you'd think you just committed a hate crime. You can bring the receipts, you can quote the statistics, and you can even point out that Angel's own team moved to a 20,000-seat arena exclusively for games against Caitlin Clark, but they still can't sell out Winrust Arena, which is half the size. The pylon arrives at that speed. In the meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's season is open. When she is the target, no one blinks. The usual suspects have been hovering like vultures, taking advantage of Caitlyn's absences for the majority of this season and her poor performance in the games she has played to further undermine her influence. For example, ESPN commentator Carolyn Peck did more than simply commend the Fever after they defeated the Aces after winning the Commissioner Cup without Caitlyn. She outright suggested that it could be better for the Fever to go without Caitlin Clark.
I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons.
And believe me, that was only the beginning of this storyline spiral because rather than praising the Fever's 5-game winning streak, the better without Caitlin conversation immediately returned.
We have to deal with the possibility that the Indiana Fever right now, in this moment, are better without Caitlin Clark. And that sounds crazy, and people are saying, how can you say that? I'm saying it because we're seeing it.
Subtle jabs have given way to open disdain. In fact, some people claim that Caitlin Clark isn't that good.
See, he always trying to push the CC narrative. She good, but she not that good.
This is what they would prefer you not to hear. With Caitlin Clark in the lineup, the Fever are 8-5, 9-9 without her. That is a mic drop, not just a statistic. Reality smacks this better without her narrative back down every time it arises. However, this is the WNBA's current situation. If there is a way to minimize Caitlyn's influence, someone will do it. It makes little difference whether the evidence quickly disproves them. And for that reason, what comes next is crucial. Because WNBA legend Candace Parker enters this mess, not just standing up for Caitlin Clark, but also outright contradicting the mob's preferred storylines. And in the process, she's turning into something of a martyr. Although Candace had previously complimented Caitlyn, this is where she began to receive criticism for it. When asked about the league's dissatisfaction over Caitlyn receiving all the publicity on ESPN's First Take, she didn't mince words. She chose not to provide the safe response. Her words were straightforward, sensible, and precisely what the haters didn't want to hear. Additionally, it sparked the subsequent outcry.
Crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now. My job was to leave the game better than I came into it. You think Cheryl Miller is resentful for me that I had a league to play in? No, she's being the mentor that she is, and she's supporting and loving and sitting courtside cheering on Juju Watkins. And I'm doing the same for Caitlin Clark and all the women in the WNBA.
Candace didn't tread carefully. There was no sugarcoat on her. Stop being jealous, stop being insecure, and start focusing on the amazing fact that Caitlin Clark is about to make everyone rich. She essentially addressed the WNBA as she stared directly into the camera. The kind of basic reason that is absolutely radioactive to the mob and evident to supporters. She continued after that. Candace immediately retaliated against Jamal Hill's small jab regarding Caitlyn's mistakes.
Floor vision. I know she had that 10 turnover game.
Yeah.
But that's something.
That's like a learning. I think all of us
Exactly.
young turn the ball over.
better.
And especially when you're the focal point of the entire defense, you're going to have more turnovers. You're going to have more live ball situations, and the competitive element of you do tend to take chances early on, and you learn that sometimes it might be a highlight, but 7 out of 10 times it's probably going to be a turnover. And I had to learn that because I was, some of the biggest things with Pat was like offensive rebounding and me turning the ball over. So those are the two things. I get it.
She didn't apologize or change her position. Once more, she stood up for Caitlyn without reservation. This is when Candace entered actual danger, though, in the opinion of the old guard anyway, because Candace committed the ultimate cardinal sin of the WNBA when the discussion turned to a comparison between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. She spoke very highly of Caitlyn.
This is where it gets tricky. Caitlin Clark is at an A level. I think in time she's going to raise up to that S, but in order to put her at that level, she's got to have a couple more years. So Then you got Angel Reese. I put her right at that C level. I think in terms of being above, you have to be able to have the ability to carry a team, be a 1 or 2 option. I think Angel Reese is fantastic at her role, which is offensive rebounding. She showed and demonstrated so much growth in that first year.
Angel Tire Reese. That was it. The gasoline and the match. Angel's admirers went crazy. Posts on X condemning Candace of being out of touch and requesting that she take notes from Asia Wilson and Lisa Leslie, who never failed to compliment Angel, were common. And the crowd took it personally rather than arguing the matter. The outcry became so intense that Cheryl Swoops herself intervened.
She probably shouldn't go to Chicago. You probably shouldn't send her back to Chicago, but go ahead.
Objectivity is completely disregarded. You will be banned in this environment if you praise Caitlin Clark without immediately calling Angel Reese an A-tier player. For a period. Candace, however, did not recoil. She didn't say she was sorry. She stepped up her efforts. Her criticism of the players for putting on one of the worst All-Star game performances ever was intense.
That being said, the facts that I want to bring to this table, and I challenge anybody to tell me, what player are you taking Angel Reese over of those that I just listed?
Guess we'll wait for their response.
Oh, we're not gonna, okay.
Because,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
But what I'm saying is, in what player, and this is no disrespect, these are the greatest players in the game right now. They asked me to rank the tier right now, and I sit in a studio at Turner with Shaq and Chuck, and some of which I think at times they do individually and personally attack people's character. And I think I pride myself on trying to be an analyst that does not do that. I do not attack character. I literally am just, from my point of view, from my opinion, this was the ranking. And so I ask again, are you taking Angel above Paige? Are you taking Angel above Arike? Are you taking Angel above Sabrina or Kelsey or Caitlin or Asia or Nafisa or Brianna? No, that does not make her a bad player. That does not make me a hater. Do I think she could be up there?
She is correct. It was embarrassing to attend that All-Star game immediately after wearing shirts calling for payment of their outstanding balance. In all honesty, the sluggish tempo and lackluster energy would have resulted in far worse ratings than ESPN attempted to hide if Caitlin hadn't been there to keep people engaged.